let me bring in my panel here, which has been with me watching the speech throughout the evening. Fred Barnes, executive editor of the Weekly Standard. Nina Easton, Washington bureau chief of Fortune magazine. Bill Kristol, editor of the Weekly Standard, and Mort Kondracki, executive editor of Roll Call, Fox News contributors all. First to you, Mort, what did you think of this speech?
Simply brilliant. It was a brilliantly written speech, and she delivered it as well as it could possibly be delivered, I think. As you say, with poise. It was I mean, she didn't write it, of course, but it was written by Matt Scully, who's a gifted speechwriter, but nonetheless, it's her speech, and it was incredibly sophisticated and effective. It was derisive of Barack Obama in a sort of a funny way, but a very pointed way about his lack of experience and about her experiences as a mayor. You quoted the business about her statement about being a community organizer, except you have responsibilities. But she also nailed him for talking one way about working people in Scranton behind their backs, and another way in San Francisco. And it was also sophisticated in that she showed that she has some understanding of geopolitics, the geopolitics of energy about the situation in the Caucasus, and she mentioned the Abqaiq oil facility in Saudi Arabia. So take that to the media when they question her about leaders of the world.
Bill Kristol, your thoughts?
That was terrific. It's going to be very hard for Senator McCain to top this tomorrow night, but he doesn't really, I'm sure he's not worrying about that. And I think you could see the genuine, I think, elation when he said, I guess we made the right choice, didn't we? And I'm sure he enjoyed this night very much, having spent the last 4 or 5 days being second-guessed by some Republican insiders and by the entire liberal media.
How much do you think this speech, how far is this speech, or how far can this speech go to dispel some of this frenzy that we've seen about her?
I think it was, since it was based on almost nothing, it was self-generated by the media, I think it was about to collapse, and this, I think, will do it in for a while. Now, she'll obviously go out on the campaign trail and give interviews and have good days, I suppose, and less good days, but boy, I'll say an awful lot of Republicans who might have been wavering and nervous, I think, now feel pretty good about the McCain-Palin ticket.
Nina, as I was standing here, as somebody who's called upon occasionally myself to go out on a stage or even a television news set and speak on a big night, I'm always a little nervous, a little edgy. Sometimes I worry that my knees will knock or my teeth will chatter. I have to say that for her to be doing this in this setting, in the middle of this maelstrom, for the first time, the poise itself was kind of remarkable, I thought.
Oh, yeah, and she ate it up. She loved it. I found it interesting. They had the Palin power signs, people who had actually handwritten those things. Usually they pass those manufactured signs out.
I've also seen them making those signs, too, but yeah. They look great. They look like they're hand-painted.
Oh, is that right? They're not?
Well, I don't know in this case.
They look like they were hand-done. But I think she was energized by the crowd, and I think that almost made her job easier. I think it was a, look, I think the speech was a home run, but I also think it was a home run in the first inning. It was a prepared speech. She delivered it. I mean, the barbs against Barack Obama were the funniest. Well, Giuliani's barbs were pretty funny too. But everything from, some politicians use change to promote their careers. Others use their careers to promote change. She chided Barack Obama for the Greek temples, the styrofoam Greek temples on the last night. Maybe he'll put those away. He's had time to write his 2 memoirs, but no time to write a major piece of legislation or reform. I mean, these were really terrific lines. Again, written for her, she delivered. And the reason why I say, it is the first inning.
Why is it relevant in her case, and you're not the first person on this panel who has mentioned this, that the speech was written for her? After all, the speeches of all major political figures are written for them, every last one of them. Isn't that a fair statement?
Well, the only point I want to make is that the point I want to make in connection with this, though, is that she's going to go out now in situations where it's much more fluid, and she's got to answer questions from the press. She's going to have to answer questions in debates. She's going to be, Mike Huckabee, I think it was interesting, he spoke tonight. He burst onto the scene about this time last year, gave great speeches. He was funny. He connected with people, but he didn't wear well in the wash. And I'm not saying she won't. I mean, she could very well stand up to it all. But again, home run, first inning.
Fred?
Yeah, Mike Huckabee's a very attractive politician. He couldn't have done what Sarah Palin did tonight. He couldn't have come close. And there's a reason, Britt. You wondered, how can she go out and do that? This woman who's from a small town in Alaska, who's never done anything like this before. It's a gift. She's a natural. You can't teach this. For her to be able to go out there and give this speech in such a composed way, it was really remarkable. And, you know, the big word for this campaign, Britt, narrative. She had a pretty good narrative, you know, small town girl, makes good, challenges the special interests, knocks off the bad old boys, and as Mort pointed out, in particular, she had a pretty good narrative for McCain and Obama, you know.
And there was one extemporaneous line, and that was when she was talking about hockey mom.
Yeah,
she said, you know the difference between a hockey mom and a pit bull lipstick, which of course brought the house down.
Well, that was her first test, and I mean, and she passed it easily. She made it look extremely easy and natural. And her second test will be one that Nina talked about. That's that she'll have to do meet the press in some of these shows, talk to the press. Then comes Joe Biden in the vice presidential debate on October 2nd. And here's my thought on that. Going back to what Rudy Giuliani said, his speech before hers, when he said, just imagine when the McCain, Palin people get to Washington, how they can shake things up. And he said, look out, look out. Well, I would say that for the press and for Biden. Look out, look out.
Let's get some thoughts now from Chris Wallace, who is down there with his guest, the host of Fox News Sunday. He's joined by Fox News contributor Carl Rove. Chris?
Thanks so much, Fred. And I don't think it's overstating it to say, being right here on the floor, that a star was born tonight, a new star in the political galaxy. Carl, I'm reminded of that.
As Chris Wallace was saying earlier, you saw it happen tonight. You could see it coming from Friday. A star has been born in the Republican Party tonight, and perhaps in the broader political realm indeed. On the convention floor right now, by the way, Hurricane Gustav occasioned a lot of changes in the schedule, and the actual nomination and roll call for John McCain is underway down there now. John Kyle, his fellow senator from Arizona, has placed his name in nomination, and the roll call is about to occur. The outcome not in doubt, obviously, so the convention planners pushed it till this late hour on this big night. Let's get back down to Chris Wallace, who's down on the convention floor with his guest, former Hillary Clinton communications director and current Fox News contributor Howard Wolfson. Chris?
Thanks, Britt. I am here with Howard Wolfson. And Howard, let me make a keen political observation to you and to the Obama campaign. You got problems.
Well, look, I think Senator Biden has got to bring his A game when he comes to this debate. You know, the media had sold the story about this woman in the middle of a soap opera. She came out here, she benefited from low expectations, and she gave a heck of a speech. And what I was particularly impressed with was her ability to stick the knife into Barack Obama with a smile, do it effectively. She was very, very good.
You know, it seems to me that because of some of the criticism from the left-wing media and because of her speech tonight, she almost becomes the embodiment of a lot of the Republican talking points on life, on guns, on small-time values. I mean, Sarah Palin is a walking advertisement for a lot of the Republican message.
That shot at the end with she and her family on the stage cradling the baby was priceless. You can't buy that kind of imagery. And look, she did a very, very good job. I agree. Democrats have reason to be concerned. Nobody should underestimate this woman's political ability. To go on stage in a hall like this, to give a speech like this for the first time ever, quite impressive.
Well, you know, we have you here to say something critical, so say something critical.
Well, look, I don't agree with her on anything that she said. I mean, the substance of what she said, I think, is very off base. I don't think that the American people are going to accept the policies that are coming out of this convention. But in terms of pure political theater and rhetoric, in terms of imagery and stagecraft, in terms of her ability to make a case against Barack Obama and do it with a smile, I thought she was very good.
Howard Wolfson, thanks so much. Britt, I got to tell you, Sarah Palin left people here on the floor of the convention shaking their head with admiration or maybe a little bit of fear.